What's up, everybody, and welcome back to Fireside Giants. I'm your host, Anthony Rivardo, joined by my co-host, Anthony Rivardo. How are you doing today, Anthony? I'm doing great. Today, hitting you back with another episode of Takeaways from Training Camp, Day 3 for the New York Giants, their third practice. If you guys didn't know, they practice today, they don't practice tomorrow, back on the field on Sunday, and putting on the pads during next week's set of practices. So we're getting even closer to real, live-action NFL football for the New York Giants. But today, a lot of takeaways from this Giants practice, a lot from the offensive side of the ball. But today, the defense kind of popped off in a few ways, and I do want to go ahead and discuss that. Of course, give you guys any updates on the injuries today at training camp as well, and everything else in between. But before we dive into all of that, make sure to leave a like if you enjoyed this episode. Subscribe to the channel if you're new, ring the bell so you don't miss an episode, and comment your thoughts down below in the comment section. If you're listening at Apple or Spotify, please make sure to leave us a 5-star review. Go ahead and follow us on all of our social media channels at Fireside Giants. Without further ado, let's go ahead and dive right into it. Malik Nabers, that's the talk of the town today. That's going to be the talk of the town for the summer at New York Giants training camp. There was another battle today between Deonte Banks and Malik Nabers. Now, I have a few notes on both of those. First of all, Malik Nabers is a problem. He is making plays left and right. He's taking slants to the house. He's catching back shoulder fades. He's beating guys deep and getting underneath deep bombs from Daniel Jones. He's been making plays left and right. He's the real deal. The Giants took Nabers with the number 6 overall pick in the draft. Obviously, he's entering the NFL with very high expectations. Everyone's expecting him to be the Giants' number 1 receiver this season. And I think there's a great chance he will be. I mean, he's going to be the focal point of this offense and could easily go for 1,000 receiving yards. And everything that we've seen at camp has backed that up. But I do want to make the note that of these highlight grabs that we keep seeing from Malik Nabers, a lot of them are contested. And that's not to say he's not getting open, because he is, and he's making incredible grabs. But it's to say that we're seeing tight coverage from Deonte Banks as well. So as these guys keep battling it out, they keep sparring play after play, yeah, Nabers is going to get the best of him quite often because he's a legitimate talent. But Banks is right there. He had a couple pass breakups today against Nabers, and he had a couple near pass breakups that Nabers just plucked out of the air with his strong hands and incredible contested catch ability. But we're seeing iron sharpening iron, 2 of the Giants' best young players battling it out through the first 3 days of training camp, and it's only going to make both of them better players for the upcoming regular season. Nabers is benefiting from going up against a physical young cornerback in Banks, and Banks is benefiting from going up against an uber talented, physical, young wide receiver. So we're seeing both of these guys flash potential, flash their talent through the first few days of camp. I know a lot of the talk is going to be Malik Nabers cooking everybody he's going up against, but also pay attention to how tight the coverage has been from Deonte Banks. A lot of the grabs that you're seeing Nabers make, completely contested. Banks is all over him, and it's just Nabers' pure talent bringing in the football. So wanted to make that note. It's not just Nabers, it's also Banks. And a few of the players in the secondary made some plays today. Dane Belton had an interception. Nick McLeod has been popping off through the first 3 days of camp, looking like he's a contender for that CB2 job alongside Cordell Flott. Keep an eye on that because we talked all summer about this potential positional battle. Of course, in the spring, we heard from Brian Dable that he expects Cordell Flott to be the starter this season. So there's a really good chance that Cordell Flott is the CB2. But I've been saying all summer long, keep an eye on Nick McLeod. He looked really good at the end of last season, going up against A.J. Brown and a few of the other guys that he faced when he made, I believe it was 3 starts at the end of the year. So I definitely think McLeod has a great chance of winning that starting CB2 job. And so far through the first 3 days of camp, he looks like he's gunning for it. So keep an eye on him. It looks like the Giants have some talented defensive backs at training camp this year. Of course, we know the receivers. They're out there. They're making plays. But also there are some talented players in the secondary to keep an eye on. But flipping back to the offensive side of the ball, I want to talk about Dante Miller, Turbo Miller, as they like to call him. Now, if you guys don't know who Dante Miller is, he's an undrafted running back that they signed this offseason. He's 5'9", 200 pounds. I believe he ran a 4.27 40-yard dash. He's super fast. He played at South Carolina for the Gamecocks, and he didn't really have a productive collegiate career. And he had some sort of error in the NCAA pre-draft process where he wanted to play another season, and he was deemed ineligible late. So he was supposed to be in last year's NFL draft, ended up not getting drafted, didn't play football for a year. Now he's practicing with the New York Giants, And this is a physical specimen. Like, this is a raw athlete. He's not a refined runner. He's not a refined football player, but he's got all the athleticism and pure talent in the world. And so far, it's showing up at training camp. He caught a couple of deep touchdown grabs today, splitting out of the backfield. I think one of them was on a wheel route from out of the backfield, and then the other one was from lined up outside. So the Giants are getting creative with this talent. Again, he's not really a running back yet. He's more so just a pure athlete and football player. So the Giants are getting creative, lining him up all over the place, seeing where he can make an impact. And he's just looking like another one of these talented backs that the Giants have in their running back room, which is getting pretty crowded because Tyrone Tracy Jr. also making plays at training camp. Devin Singletary also making some plays. Now, I haven't heard a lot from Eric Gray. Not sure what he's up to or if he's standing out in any way or if he's playing poorly. Just really haven't seen anything on Eric Gray, to be completely honest. But I've seen a lot of Tyrone Tracy. I know he had a one-handed catch yesterday on a screen, and he's made a few plays after the catch. I know that that Dante Miller had an excellent day today. And, of course, Devin Singletary, the lead back, has been a consistently good player through training camp. So I'm just saying, guys, keep an eye on Dante Miller, undrafted free agent rookie running back. Could absolutely sneak his way onto this roster if he continues to play the way that he's been playing so far at training camp. Now, a couple of injury updates for you guys. Number one, Tyler Nubin dealing with a tight calf. He didn't practice today. He didn't practice yesterday. They've got the day off tomorrow. He might be back on the field for Sunday. If not, he should be back sooner rather than later, according to Brian Dable. He said it's just a tight calf. It's nothing long-term. Minor injury. So Tyler Nubin, Giants second-round rookie safety, who's expected to play a big starting role for the team this season, should be back in the lineup very soon. So keep an eye on that. Also, Jermaine Illuminor should be back in the lineup soon. He actually did take a few snaps, not many, but a few, like 3 snaps today in 11-on-11 drills at right tackle. It was Josh Azidu primarily playing right tackle for the Giants today. But when Azidu took a few reps off, they had Illuminor go in there, start to ramp his body back up. He'll be back on the field most likely on Sunday. Obviously, we know the injury scare, day one of training camp. He took a shot to the ribs from Dexter Lawrence, waved off the cart, ends up being just fine, just some bruised ribs and a little bit of discomfort, and he should be returning to the field very, very soon. So on the topic of the offensive line, how about the quarterbacks? How about the defensive line? A lot of pressure generated at today's practice from 2 players in particular, and you guys are going to be excited to hear these names. Kayvon Thibodeau and Brian Burns. Brian Burns had a strip sack, I think. No, Kayvon Thibodeau had a strip sack today. Brian Burns forced a deep ball, inaccurate from Daniel Jones, because he beat Andrew Thomas very quickly on an inside move, pass rushing move, gets to the quarterback. Jones overthrows a deep pass, disrupted by Brian Burns. We're already seeing it, guys. This is the highest potential position group for the New York Giants this season. Pairing Burns with Thibodeau, and of course having that trio with Dexter Lawrence in the middle, the potential for this defensive line and pass rushing group is immense. It's sky high, and we're already beginning to see it. Now, as I discussed in yesterday's episode with Alex, this could be a matter of the Giants' offensive line being a bad unit, or it could be a matter of the Giants' defensive line being a great unit, or more likely a combination of both. So it's good to see that these pass rushers are being productive, but I think the true test will be next week when the pads come on, because the pass rushing in these 11-on-11 drills, it's pretty minor. They can't do everything that they would do on a normal down-to-down basis. Like, you're not going to see Brian Burns bull rush up against Andrew Thomas and risk injuries to either one of those core players in 11-on-11 drills with no pads on. But next week when the pads do come on and they're playing closer to 80-90% speed, you will see some of those pass rushing moves take more of an effect, and we'll see how the offensive line holds up, and we'll see whether or not the defensive line continues to be super productive and get in the face of Daniel Jones. So that's going to be really exciting. Definitely thrilled for next week's practices that have the pads on. But right now, the defensive line living up to the hype so far. Just excited to see them do it with the pads on next week. Now, I mentioned Daniel Jones, talking about the quarterback position. I read that he had a pretty good day today. He did miss a couple of deep throws. He did connect on a deep bomb to Malik Nabers. But overall, it seems like he had a decent day. He was quick with the football. He was decisive, and he was spreading the ball around and making some good throws. Had a few touchdowns. Again, had a few misses on 20-plus yard passes, but it seems like everything inside of 20 yards, Daniel Jones was on the money today. I know Drew Lock also had a couple of deep bombs that he connected with some of his receivers on. And once again, Lawrence Cager caught a big-time pass, this time from Tommy DeVito. So we've seen Lawrence Cager score a touchdown on day 1 of practice, deep bomb from Drew Lock, score a touchdown on day 2, delivered by Daniel Jones. And now today, I don't think it was a touchdown, but it was a deep reception delivered by Tommy DeVito. Cager has played with the 1s, the 2s, and the 3s, and he's made plays with all of them, which is pretty notable because Theo Johnson, not in the lineup right now, on the PUP list. What are we getting from this tight end room after Darren Waller retired? Daniel Bellinger likely taking over as the starter. But maybe there is an avenue here for Lawrence Cager to earn a roster spot and maybe even earn some playing time. So I think that will be a lot of fun to keep an eye on. And again, like I said, Daniel Jones, he had an interception. He had a few missed throws on deep passes. But one takeaway that I have from the way he's played so far at camp, he's ripping it. He's not afraid to push the ball downfield at camp so far. And I think a lot of that has to do with the fact that he has Malik Nabers to throw to. We're seeing him take more deep shots downfield. Those deep shots are primarily going to Nabers. Nabers is hauling them in. Giants have not had a talent like that the entire time that Daniel Jones has been here. He has not had anybody that he can throw F it balls to. Just say, F it, he's down there, he'll grab it somehow, some way. He hasn't had one of those players. Now he does in Nabers, and he seems to be taking good advantage. We'll see how they continue to build this chemistry, but I know that they've been working diligently at camp, and so far they've connected on a few deep passes. So all exciting stuff, all good news from day 3 of New York Giants training camp. Nothing to report that's negative, no bad performances, no injuries. But again, it's only 3 days into training camp. They're off tomorrow. They're back at it on Sunday, and then they're putting the pads on sometime next week. That's going to be really exciting. That's going to be a big moment for this Giants team. They need to stay healthy, especially when those pads come on. Once the pads come on, added physical weight on the shoulder of the players and a little bit more contact. You never know. So hopefully the Giants coaching staff is careful with them and keeps them in good condition throughout the summer so that there are no devastating injuries in the middle of the summer that last into the regular season. But a lot of talent out there on the field for the Giants, it seems. A lot of great standout performers from practice. And of course, really excited to keep breaking that down for you guys every day right here on Fireside Giants. So make sure to leave a like if you enjoyed this episode. Subscribe to the channel if you're new. Ring the bell so don't miss an episode, and comment your thoughts down below in the comment section. If you're listening on Apple or Spotify, please make sure to leave us a 5-star review and go ahead and follow us on all of our social media channels at Fireside Giants. But without further ado, we'll catch you on the next one. Have a good one, and let's go Giants.
Perfect.